There's a lot of cool parts of my job. I think one of the coolest is I get to put almost any TV up on my wall that I want. I mean, that's like the best part of the job. I took down from my home, my primary set, a perfectly good OLED and replaced it with a mini LED. And it was a TCL X11L. If you saw that review, I'll link it. And I do know how that sounds. There's a whole corner of YouTube that'll sort of call me an idiot for this exact move. Giving up self-emissive perfection for a backlight. Trading in the king, in their words, for inferior technology with a new name slapped on it. So why did I do it? OLED versus mini LED in 2026. The real comparison. And I'm not coming at this from like a showroom perspective. I lived with a great OLED on my wall for years. My main TV every single day. And I wanted to live with the best mini LED the exact same way in my own house. Not for a weekly review unit to find out whether the thing we all just assume is true, that OLED always wins, actually still holds up. Which one wins and which one wins for you are two very different questions. I'm gonna try to settle both. So I do wanna start with OLED, because OLED is like obviously still the best looking picture you can buy. And I do want that on record before the comments start filling up calling me, I don't know, probably a lot of bad names. OLED is simple in like the best way possible. Every pixel makes its own light. There's no backlight behind it, no zones doing math to decide what's dark, what pixel needs to be black. It shuts off at a pixel level all the way. That's where the perfect blacks come from, because they're just turned off. And the infinite contrast everyone repeats is real. It matches the bezel of most TVs. The picture just sits there in the air. There's no worry about blooming, no glowing halo around a bright thing on a dark background, because there's no backlight to glow in the first place. And that old complaint that OLEDs, and I've said for a while, that OLEDs are too dim for a bright room, for the most part, that's dead now. These things get plenty bright. The LG G6 this year runs LG's new tandem panel and clears 2400 nits in the highlights, with sort of peak stuff going out to 3000 nits on kind of small, bright areas. Samsung's S95H, something like 35% brighter than last year's S95F. And that S95F was already stupid bright. Put one of these in a normal room with windows, you'll be fine. So quick break before I will tell you which TV tech wins side by side. By the time you watch this, I will be on vacation with just my wife. No kids, they are in camp, we are out. And the only reason that trip got planned without like a 30-tab logistics meltdown because of today's sponsor, Zapier. And if you need to get real things done, this is actually really worth a listen. Zapier Connect with over 9,000 apps. And the piece we're showing you is a Zapier MCP server. And that might sound like gibberish to you, but essentially, whichever AI tool you already use, Claude, ChatGPT, whatever, it calls out to Zapier MCP to sort of reach your real apps. So things you're actually using, calendar, Notion, Gmail, web search, all of it. So your AI can actually read your stuff and then act on it for you. So here's what I built, a trip planning agent. I tell Claude I'm going to Mexico next weekend, checks my calendar for the free days, pulls weather for those dates, researches restaurants and things to do, and then builds a full trip doc in Notion. One sentence in, like a full plan comes out. Setup is like 5 to 10 minutes, and it works with any LLM too. Same setup, runs client research, market intel, sort of anything pulled from a bunch of sources into one place. It is awesome, and it does feel like an AI superpower. If you do want to check it out, links in the description with the template that I built. Try it for yourself. Back to the TVs. Viewing angles are still clearly untouchable. Sit off to the side, on the floor, watch it from the kitchen while you're doing dishes. The picture holds. And if you game, especially if you game competitively, OLED is still the one. Instant response, low input lag, no smearing. To get OLED at a price that doesn't sting, you do give some things up. Size, model year, brightness, something. One of those things you're giving up for a lower price. The newest panels that fix every last weakness are also the ones that, unsurprisingly, cost the most. All right, so here's where I would put my money if I was considering OLED, sort of at different price points. Cheapest way is the LG B5. It's kind of the value OLED. And I've watched a 55-inch slide like sometimes under 800 bucks. I don't think that sentence could have been typed years ago without like laughing. Spend a little more and you're getting into like the LG C series category, which is probably the one that I tend to recommend for most people. The C6 is out now, but also don't sleep on last year's C5. I've seen the 65-inch of that version sitting at like $1,200. It is a killer. I should also say that all these TVs I'm gonna mention are in the description down below. The C line just lets you get the most out of the flagship experience without the flagship headache, which is why it's been the default answer for years. One brighter than that, step up to the LG G5, last year's flagship. That one you can get for like $1,800 for a 65-inch, which is a pretty incredible deal. Now that the G6 is out, those G5 prices are only going to get better. So the longer you can wait, the better price you're gonna get. On the Samsung side, there's a lot of good options, and it's the S95F, QD OLED flagship, and I love it. If it is in your budget, buy it. The color is absurd, you will not regret it. But the one nobody talks about enough is its little brother, the S90F. It's actually the same QD OLED magic, basically on discount. I think it's very underrated. Sony's got some good options too. The Sony Bravia 8 Mark II caps sort of off as the processing nerds pick, the one that like the film people keep crawling back to. So a lot of options on the OLED side. And there's still more options that I didn't talk about, but for the most part, that encompasses kind of the big three brands. So that's OLED. And let me tell you why I walked right past all of it for my own living room. Mini LED is LCD. I want to dress it up. There's a panel. Behind that panel, there's a backlight, except instead of a handful of big lights, it's thousands of tiny ones bunched into dimming zones. More zones, more precise the TV can be about lighting up one area and darkening another. It is not pixel perfect. It cannot be. Light from a lit zone always bleeds onto the next one. That's just science, it's physics. But the good mini LEDs in 2026 have gotten so scary good at hiding that. You basically have to put one next to an OLED in a blacked out room to see the difference. What you get back for that compromise is brightness that OLED still can't reach. Not just like little highlights popping, like the whole screen. Full screen brightness on a high-end mini LED blows past OLED. And that matters a lot more than people give it credit for. And despite OLED, like I said, now getting plenty bright. Bright room, big windows, sun coming in sideways at 4 p.m. and mini LED just bulldozes through it. HDR hits harder, and you never have to think about burn-in either, which is not a huge concern for OLED. Then there's the size thing, which I think is a real quiet reason mini LED keeps winning a lot of living rooms. I think a lot of people want a bigger screen now. And once you get into huge sizes, mini LED just gives you more per dollar. You can get a 98-inch mini LED that goes toe-to-toe with a lot of OLED and costs a sliver of what a 97-inch OLED runs. It's not a close fight there at all. So here's my mini LED shortlist. If money is not the issue and you want the best, probably Sony Bravia 9. It's kind of the reigning mini LED flagship, and its contrast control is freaky good for an LCD. In a dark room, it gets close enough to OLED. I think you'll catch yourself squinting trying to tell the difference. It's a one set, I think, that can make the OLED purists consider switching sides. Drop down into like smart money territory. It's TCL's QM line all day. The QM6K, the QM7K, QM8K, which run from like great deal all the way to really actually premium. I do want to be clear though, the QM7K is usually the one to buy, because once you climb past it, you're paying flagship money for stuff I don't think most people will notice. And if you wanted the new, there's the SQD mini LED, like the TCL X11L on my wall now, but also with lower tiers. You don't have to go for the X11L, the QM8L, the QM7L, both way too good for the price. And then there's Hisense too. The U8QG right now is one that I recommend to a lot of people, and they have just a really bright room. Like dumb bright, we're talking like 5,000 plus nits. Color is excellent at a really reasonable price. And if you just want like the most picture for the least money, it's hardest one to argue with on the whole list. The shiny new toys. The RGB mini LED, the SQD panels that I've got up on my wall at home. Stuff that made everyone at CES, myself included, lose their minds. The Hisense UR9, the new RGB sets from Samsung and LG. Like I said, the SQD inside my own X11L. And yeah, it's really cool tech. Richer color, brighter, creeping towards that full BT 2020 color space that spec sheets love. But my honest take for right now, it's too expensive. It's first gen, And for most people, the jump over a really good mini LED or a great OLED, probably not worth the early adopter tax yet, which I say that with the irony again of having one of these at my home. Everyone's staring at the new thing, and that means the proven stuff, the OLEDs, the mini LED is sitting there at the best value it's ever been. So if I can make this easy and kind of TLDR this whole thing, go OLED. If you watch movies at night, you can kill the lights in your room and you got people sitting off to the sides. What you care about most is black levels and that clean cinematic look. Especially OLED if you're shopping in like a 55 to 77 inch and you can catch a flagship on sale. Listen, it's your life, it's your call, but OLED should be the decision there. Mini LED is your TV if you've got a really, really bright room. You watch a ton of sports and daytime stuff. You want something gigantic without taking out a loan, and you rather not think about burn-in, and you want the most sort of the magic without paying flagship OLED prices. And that, when I actually describe it out loud, is probably most living rooms, most families. So when I took down my OLED for an LED TV, it wasn't because I stopped believing OLED is the best pure picture you can buy. Because I lived with OLED for years and I wanted to find out on my own wall and not in the showroom where the old reflex that OLED always wins no matter what held up. And for my bright room, it didn't. After months, I didn't really miss it. But that's one room, that's one guy, but it's the whole reason that I don't think this argument is settled anymore as much as it used to be. I had a flawless OLED hanging on my wall, the kind of TV those purists would tell me to never give up. And I pulled it down for an LED on purpose, knowing exactly what I was giving up because it was best for my room. Best in the world? Nope. Best TV for me though? Easily. LED and mini LED in 2026 is too good, too bright, and too smart to buy to keep treating it like it's the cheap option. OLED still gets the crown. It's just that for most of us, I think the crown stopped being the point.